It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Nancy Long, who is a nurse practitioner. She is also the co-chair of the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Central Maryland. Welcome, Nancy, and thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're talking today about an event that's coming up. It's the 7th annual 5K run, also a 3K walk. It's being held this Sunday, September 18th, outside of the Westfield Annapolis Mall.
That's right.
7 years of doing this.
That's correct.
It's proven to be a good fundraiser and a good activity for the group?
It's been a wonderful fundraiser, and mainly we do walk to raise funds, but we walk to raise awareness of this disease.
And it's around the outskirts of the mall.
It is.
And are there as many runners as there are walkers?
We usually have more walkers. Last year, hopefully we'll have the same this year, but last year we had 1,500 registered participants. Wow. We had 500 runners. The rest were walkers. We had 110 teams. So what happens is a survivor or a loved one of a survivor will form a team, and we have signs for them, and they walk as a group.
And is this in conjunction with this month being of significance?
Yes, okay. September is the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. You may not know, but teal is our color, and we've already put teal ribbons around the trees at the mall. So a lot of people ask
you,
yes.
Yeah, is that what the ribbons around
That's
the mall
correct.
Are? So now you know.
We want our message to get out, and teal is our color. Breast cancer awareness has done their job. People are aware that they need mammograms if they find a lump to call their doctor, but ovarian cancer is very vague, and the symptoms are quiet and often, most of the time, are missed.
And you are a nurse practitioner. You have some medical training.
A little bit, yes.
Let's talk about those missed symptoms. Who missed those symptoms?
Well, I certainly did. I was the one. Just to go over a few of the early signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer, they are abdominal bloating, feeling like you have to go to the bathroom or have a urinary tract infection when in fact you don't, trouble eating and feeling full quickly, and certainly any pelvic or abdominal pain. And these things are symptoms that women have frequently throughout their lives. Abdominal bloating,
yes. You're thinking, oh my God, do I have ovarian cancer?
Exactly. And so they are often missed. And we always say if they persist for longer than 3 weeks, then see your doctor. And if the doctor says, oh, this is common in menopause or this is common with women, of course you're constipated, you have a busy life, you're under stress, of course you're tired. If you think this is a change for you, then pursue and ask, tell me why this is not ovarian cancer.
Well, and you say see your doctor. Some women have to go straight to their primary care.
Right.
Some women can go to a specialist without the primary care. What kind of doctor should a woman be seeing?
Well,
OBGYN?
OBGYN. And really, most insurances today will allow women to see their GYN doctor, even Medicare, every 2 years at least. But if you're having symptoms, you can see them anytime.
And what is the OBGYN going to do to diagnose?
Well, first, they should listen to your symptoms. And there are other symptoms as well. Fatigue, upset stomach, back pain, constipation, menstrual changes, and pain during intercourse. So you need a doctor that's going to listen to you. Okay, yes, I know that these can be common in women, but I've had them for a month, and they're getting worse. And then after she listens, there are some testing that can be done, and one is a pelvic transvaginal sonogram, and a blood test that's called CA-125. Now, there is no screening test for ovarian cancer, none. And the reason is the blood test that everybody thinks about, the CA-125, is not good because sometimes it can be positive and you don't have ovarian cancer, and sometimes it can be negative and you do. So as a marker, if you have ovarian cancer, it's good, but it's not a good screening test.
It's a little scary, isn't it?
It's very scary.
So say you have a positive blood test. Does that mean that you're going in for exploratory surgery?
It means that you should have further testing, such as a CT scan or an MRI. And there are a couple of other blood tests, if that one's positive, that they sometimes do. And most of the time, they can determine if they can go in and do surgery that's real and not a false positive.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear Nancy's story on the symptoms and her experience with ovarian cancer. I'm Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Nancy Long. She's a nurse practitioner by training. She's also the co-chair of the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Central Maryland. We've been talking about the 5K run, 3K walk that's being held this Sunday outside of Westfield Annapolis Mall. People can register day of the event. So just go on out to the Annapolis Mall at what time?
7 a.m.
And start walking and running. You can bring your four-legged friends, I'm guessing.
You may.
You can bring your husband. You can bring your wife. You can bring your whoever you want to bring, kids. And it has a great cause. Now, Nancy, you weren't always concerned with ovarian cancer or advocating for awareness.
That's correct.
So what happened?
So it probably in about 2002 or 1 even, I started having symptoms. I was 55 or 56 years old, and I started to become much more constipated than normal. Of course, every woman has trouble with constipation, so I just chalked it up to menopause. I became very fatigued, and I had indigestion constantly. I felt full very quickly, but I was gaining weight, and I'm not a real big person, so gaining 5 pounds to me was a lot. And so I kept doing testing on myself. I made an appointment with a GI doctor. My colonoscopy was normal. I saw a cardiologist. I had a few things wrong, so I chalked that up to the fatigue. But in 2004, I was not well, and I knew it. I constantly felt like I had a urinary tract infection when my urine was clear, free of bacteria. I was becoming noticeably bloated, and the 2 doctors that I worked for at the time, I discussed it with them, and they said, why don't you do a CA-125, which is a blood marker for ovarian cancer, not a screening test, but a marker. So I did that, and it was extremely elevated, and they were so kind. I had a CAT scan that afternoon, and I was in surgery the following week. I had extensive surgery.
If I can ask you, which stage were you at?
I was stage 3C.
If you had caught it sooner, would this have been a better scenario?
Oh, my goodness. If it's caught early, the survival rate for ovarian cancer is 90%. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's caught in stage 3 and 4. And the survival rate is 20 to 28%.
Wow.
For 5 years. So that's why we are so passionate about getting this word out.
You went through the surgery?
Went through the surgery.
What is the surgery?
It's a complete hysterectomy, and they take out lymph nodes, and it's a staging surgery. My doctor opted to not do as extensive as he might because it involved my bowel and lots of other organs. Mm-hmm. But I was so fortunate. I did 18 months of chemo, and the chemo, I have been in remission since then.
Wow, knock on wood. Congratulations,
I'm
Nancy.
a 12-year survivor. I'm really very grateful.
Warrior. Good job.
Thank you.
Scary situation.
Yes.
Scary situation because you are a nurse. Those of us that aren't nurses might not know what to do. You've gone to several doctors. You just kept advocating for your own health, which we all have to do.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing is not to be frightened, but to know the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer. First of all, only 1 in 75 women get ovarian cancer. Mm-hmm. It's a much smaller number than breast, but it is much more deadly. Ovarian cancer is the leading cause of death in GYN cancers and the 5th cause of death in overall cancers.
Why is that? Because it's so far into your system as opposed to...
Because by the time you're diagnosed, it's usually at an advanced stage. Yes. So if we can get the word out about symptoms, and if women and and their families are aware of these symptoms, if we can get people to get an earlier diagnosis, and they are working on a screening test. And that's why we need to raise money for this cause. If, for instance, the Pap smear has done a beautiful job on cervical cancer, we now can find cervical cancer before it becomes cancer, just like colon.
Right.
But with ovarian, there is no screening test.
So when women are going to their yearly, or now it's every other year exam, which you're not happy about, GYN exam.
Well, they should still see their GYN yearly. You don't do PAPs every year because we know more about Pap smears and cervical cancer. But really, in my opinion, they should see a GYN yearly.
But there's still nothing being done to address the ovarian cancer risk.
The exam, the pelvic exam is good. It's not perfect, but it's certainly good. And the discussion with your provider.
On symptoms, if there are any.
Exactly.
So speak up, women.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to hear about some other ideas that have now come up in genetic testing and some more about this walk and run. I'm Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm in the studio with Nancy Long, who is a survivor. She's a warrior. She's incredible. I'm so glad she's here today. She's a nurse practitioner, and she is the co-chair of the Leadership Council for the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Central Maryland. They are preparing for their 7th annual 5K run, 3K walk being held this Sunday outside of Westfield Annapolis Mall. You will see the teal-colored ribbons around the mall. So go up there at 7 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, with your dog, with everybody that you know, and start walking and running and donate some money towards this cause. Nancy told us her story of not realizing the symptoms for ovarian cancer. She was at stage 3C when it was picked up. She had the surgery, and she's been cancer-free for how many years?
12.
Good job. Let's talk about genetic factors. Me being a breast cancer survivor, I know that I had the BRCA1 and 2 test. I was negative for both, which doesn't mean that I was not going to get breast cancer. Obviously, I got it. That test, it's also kind of sort of for ovarian cancer.
Absolutely.
But there's more now.
There is more testing now. So the BRCA1 and 2 is a genetic mutation that can be present in families that have high risk for breast and ovarian cancer. Actually, the Ashkenazi Jewish population...
I'm raising my hand.
They have a large population that is genetically positive for the BRCA1 and 2. If you have a great deal of breast cancer in your family, or ovarian or colon, or even if there's a lot of other cancers in your family, you can be a candidate for testing. It would be nice if the person that had the cancer that was tested, but if that person is deceased, then their relatives can get testing as well.
So now you understand, listeners, why I've had the test, because genetic factors, Ashkenazi Jew, mother died of breast cancer. Yes,
so now we have found many other genetic mutations that can have an increased risk for melanoma, breast, ovarian, even gastric cancers, a lot of other cancers. And many labs carry this test now. It is a whole panel. It's in one lab, it's called the MyRisk panel. So I would certainly ask your doctor, or if you have a history of cancer, I would see a genetics counselor and discuss if you feel like you should have this testing done.
What do you say to the women that say, I don't want to know?
And that's their choice. We have to respect that choice. People are frightened about insurance. Medical health insurance cannot deny if you have a genetic mutation, but I'm not 100% positive about life insurance, so they are things that you need to think about.
And just to be clear, a negative on these tests does not mean that you won't get cancer.
Correct. That is correct. And it does not mean you won't get breast or ovary cancer. It just means that the biggest genes that we know about are negative for...
But there are a million other factors, environmental factors, that weigh into who's going to get cancer, who's not going to get cancer. And a million other factors that just aren't known.
That's correct. I think it's so important to keep it. And I always feel like knowledge is power. For instance, my daughter has, well, I don't think I mentioned yet, but I do have a genetic mutation. It's not the BRCA1 or 2, but it is another mutation, which my daughter also has. And I'll just put a little plug in. My daughter was in medical school when I was diagnosed, and now she's a GYN surgical oncologist at Sloan Kettering. So I feel like, we don't see God's plan a lot of times, but I feel like I did.
If I may ask, and you don't have to answer, did she go ahead with preventative surgery?
She will.
Okay.
She will. She's 37, and she will definitely have her ovaries out. And you see, that's why if we know about these mutations, we can take precautions. So you may not want to have your breasts removed, but you could have twice a year testing, once with a mammogram, once with an MRI. If someone in your family, or if you have a genetic mutation for ovary cancer, you should have your ovaries out, or it's recommended.
Right. And by the way, for my own personal story, mammogram followed by MRI every 6 months from the age of 30-something on. So mine was caught at stage 0.
Wonderful.
But again, women, you need to be your own best advocate, and men who have women in their lives, significant others, remind them, because not every woman remembers to schedule that mammogram. If you love your women, remind them.
And also, men can carry the mutation,
Exactly
and men
right.
can get
Yeah.
breast cancer.
Yeah, exactly right.
So men are not exempt.
And so are men getting tested for the genetic test right now?
If there's a family history, yes. And, certainly any male in the family that has breast cancer, that raises a huge red flag
Or
in
the
that family.
daughters,
Yes.
exactly. All right, very good. What is the website that people should go to for more information on this and for more information on the walk and run?
Our general website is www.ovarian.org. And you may just go on there and look up Central Maryland Chapter for the information on the Run Walk, but they also have a great amount of information on ovarian cancer.
Tell me more information about the Run and Walk. It's the 7th annual, 7 years of doing this.
Yep.
It's been a lot of fun. It's rain or shine?
Rain or shine. Our very first one, we had 400 people, and it poured rain, but everybody walked, and it was wonderful. So it is rain or shine. Yes, it's great. We have a spirit tent. It's great for families. We have a huge amount of refreshments. We have the Arundelaires singing with us, which we're so excited about. We honor our survivors. We have all our survivors on stage for a photo, and there's a survivor tent and a huge raffle tent. We have some wonderful raffle items.
And do you have a Facebook page also?
We do. It's National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, Central Maryland Chapter.
Perfect. Nancy, thank you so much for joining me in the studio
Donna,
today.
I can't tell you. This is our mission for awareness, and you have helped so much. And we hope we'll save a life by doing this.
Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the 1430 Connection, winner of the Chesapeake Associated Press Broadcasters Association Best Talk Show. To hear this program again or any of the other 1430 Connections, check out our 1430 WNAV News YouTube channel. We do also always stream live on WNAV.com, and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at 1430 WNAV. I'm Donna Cole. We'll see you next week.